Lionel Messi was untouchable, a football genius, a global icon, a man who seemed too quiet, too humble to ever be involved in anything controversial. But in 2016, everything changed. Because behind the goals, the trophies, and the fame, Messi was dragged into court, accused of tax fraud. And for the first time in his career, he was no longer just a footballer. He was a criminal defendant. Long before the courtrooms and headlines, Lionel Messi's story was built on struggle. Born in Rosario, Argentina, Messi wasn't supposed to make it. At a young age, he was diagnosed with a growth hormone deficiency, a condition that threatened not just his football career, but his physical development. His family couldn't afford the expensive treatment, and for a moment, it looked like his dream would end before it even began. Then came Barcelona. The Spanish club took a chance on the small, quiet boy. They brought him to Europe, paid for his treatment, and placed him inside La Masia, their legendary academy. It was there that Messi began to grow, not just physically, but as a footballer. By the time he broke into the first team, it was obvious this wasn't normal talent. Messi wasn't just good, he was different. He dribbled past defenders like they weren't there. He scored goals from impossible angles. And as the years passed, he became the face of Barcelona. Trophies followed, then records, then global fame, multiple Ballon d'Or wins, Champions League titles, league dominance. Messi wasn't just winning, he was rewriting football history. But success at that level comes with pressure, massive contracts, sponsorship deals, image rights, millions, then hundreds of millions, flowing through different channels. And with that kind of money comes something else, complex financial systems. Messi wasn't managing all of this himself. Like many athletes, he relied on advisors, especially his father, Jorge Messi, who handled much of his financial affairs. Everything seemed normal on the surface, but behind the scenes, decisions were being made. Decisions that would later come back to haunt him. Because while Messi was focused on football, scoring goals and winning trophies, authorities in Spain were watching something else entirely: his money. And by the early 2010s, suspicions began to grow. Spanish prosecutors believed that income from Messi's image rights, money earned from endorsements and sponsorships, had been hidden, not just misreported, hidden through a network of offshore companies based in places like Belize and Uruguay. On paper, everything looked legal, but investigators believed otherwise. They claimed these structures were created for one purpose: to avoid paying taxes. At first, it was just an investigation, quiet, in the background, but then it became public. And suddenly, the world's most beloved footballer was facing something no one expected: a criminal accusation. The accusation was serious. They had allegedly avoided paying over €4 million in taxes between 2007 and 2009. For many fans, it didn't make sense. Messi didn't fit the image of someone involved in financial crime. He was quiet, reserved, almost shy, not the type to scheme or manipulate money. But the law doesn't care about image, it cares about evidence. Prosecutors argued that Messi's income from image rights had been deliberately routed through offshore companies. These companies, they claimed, were set up to conceal earnings and reduce tax payments in Spain. Messi's defense was simple: he didn't know. According to him, he trusted his father and financial advisors to handle everything. He focused on football, leaving the business side to others. But in court, that argument didn't fully protect him, because legally, Messi was still responsible for his own finances. The case dragged on for years, with intense media attention. Every detail was analyzed, every statement was reported, and then came the trial. In 2016, Messi and his father appeared in court in Barcelona. It was a surreal moment, one of the greatest players in history sitting as a defendant, answering questions about fraud. Messi maintained his innocence. He insisted he never intended to deceive anyone. But the court saw things differently. The judges ruled that Messi and his father were guilty of tax fraud. The sentence: 21 months in prison. For a moment, it looked like everything was about to collapse. A global superstar going to jail, but Spanish law has a provision. First-time offenders with sentences under 2 years usually don't serve prison time. Instead, the sentence was converted into a fine. Messi paid millions. He avoided prison, but the damage was done. For the first time in his career, Messi's name wasn't just associated with greatness. It was linked to crime, to fraud, to controversy. And no amount of goals could immediately erase that. After the conviction, something shifted. Messi was still playing, still scoring, still winning. But the image had cracked. Fans began to question. Critics became louder. The idea of Messi as the perfect footballer no longer felt so certain. At the same time, pressure from another direction was building. Argentina. For years, Messi had struggled to win a major trophy with his national team. Final after final slipped away. Each loss added to the criticism. Some even said he would never be like Maradona. Then came the breaking point. After losing the Copa America final in 2016, the same year as his court conviction, Messi shocked the world. He retired from international football. "I'm done with the national team," he said. It felt like everything was collapsing at once. Legal trouble, public criticism, personal frustration. For a moment, it looked like the pressure had finally broken him, but then something changed. The fans called him back. Argentina needed him, and Messi returned. Slowly, he rebuilt. Not just his performances, but his reputation. Years passed. The noise faded. The scandal became part of his story, but not the whole story. Then came redemption. In 2021, Messi finally won the Copa America with Argentina. The weight lifted. The criticism softened. And then, in 2022, the World Cup. Argentina lifted the trophy. Messi, at the center of it all, delivered one of the greatest tournament performances ever. That moment changed everything. The narrative shifted. Yes, there had been controversy. Yes, there had been mistakes. But now, there was also something else. Closure. Messi wasn't remembered for the courtroom. He was remembered for greatness, for resilience, for coming back.